This episode is about minutes 66 through 70 of The Rise of Skywalker with new guest, Marianne. Hello there, and welcome to Star Wars Music Minute, where we celebrate the music and sound of Star Wars 5 cinematic minutes at a time. I'm Chrysanthi Tan, you feel free to call me Xanthi, and today is all about minutes 66 through 70 of Star Wars Episode 9, The Rise of Skywalker. In this excerpt of the film, Kylo asks Rey to join him. Allegiant General Pryde shoots Hux dead. Palpatine has a chat with Kylo, and we end up on Kef Bir, where we meet Janna and see the Death Star wreckage from afar. I'm really excited today to have Marianne onto the show. Darth Chaco in Element 7 from last episode recommended Marianne, and here we are, the very next episode, chatting. Hey.
Hi. Hello. I'm so happy to be here.
I'm really happy to talk to you. I know that you make a lot of TikTok content about the music of Star Wars, and it's always cool to find another person in the Star Wars music doing stuff about Star Wars music space. So I'm really excited to connect with you.
Yay. Yeah, no, it's kind of weird because I'm just like, is anybody else doing this or is this just me? Because I feel kind of alone.
Right. Yeah, it can feel that way, especially when our primary mediums are different. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I guess I don't even know much. Are you, do you play a particular instrument? What's your entry into music?
So I have an Associates of Arts degree in piano and a Bachelor of Science degree in social sciences with a minor in vocals. So I have some training. And that's why, and I don't use my music degrees except for this. And so that's why I started talking about Star Wars music on TikTok, was to put them to use. So
yeah, fair. That's really cool. So piano and voice are your primary. That's awesome.
Yep.
Cool. Well, but I say let's just jump right into the minutes.
All right, I'm ready.
Okay, I'm just going to play a portion and then I'll pause and we'll talk about it.
Okay.
All right.
We'll kill him together and take the throne. You know what you need to do. You know.
I do. Okay, I'll stop right about there. I'll put a screenshot I'll put some screen grabs for people watching on YouTube so you can see a little bit what's going on. Well, first of all, this kind of is a direct continuation of the end of the last set of minutes, which is Rey kind of was looking over that perilous, I don't know, what is it called? Is it a cliff? It's not a cliff because it's like a ship.
The hold? The hold?
Yeah, the edge
of the hold.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, exactly. And here we see Kylo, and then we see this. I think it's such a cool shot. I mean, it looks this looks, slightly like The World Between Worlds or something like that.
Oh, yes. I never thought of that. No, that is really cool. I just love that. Yeah, I love that scene because it's just and then all of a sudden the Millennium Falcon rises up and I'm like, okay, this is fun.
Yeah, it's such the lighting of it is so, it has such a specific look. Yeah, the light blue.
The blue.
Yeah.
Yeah, that blue, because it's Rey's still pretty, she's still pretty conflicted, but with that blue, it could suggest that maybe she, not choosing to join with Kylo, she's tipping the balance towards the light side, I guess you could say.
Also, I feel like the whole thing is, the color of the whole, skipping a little bit forward, the whole thing is kind of blue colored in general, and very dark as well. Yeah. It's just a very specific look. Yeah. So what do you make of this this first little bit?
Okay. So the first theme that I heard was the Anthem of Evil, and in my to give a little bit of context here with my TikToks, when I talk about any Star Wars themes that are written by John Williams. I don't know if you've ever heard of him. He's Dr. Frank Lehman from Tufts University. He has this guide.
Yes. We have a
So I
Frank
use
Lehman
him.
drinking game on this show. Every
I
time someone
love
mentions
that.
Frank Lehman, take a drink. But Frank himself doesn't drink alcohol, so Frank himself he's probably the guest that's been on the show the most, actually.
You've talked to him. I have so many questions for him. Oh my God.
Okay, well, Frank, if you're listening to this, Frank has requested that the drinking game be used with, I think, coffee or like a sweet beverage or something.
That is funny. I think I have water.
Yeah. Or water, yeah.
Yeah, I'm a huge fan of his guide. Oh my gosh.
We all
love that.
are around here. You're in good
I
company.
love that. Yay! I'm so excited about
Yeah.
that. Okay, so I was using his guide when I was watching through this, and so like he talked about how with the Anthem of Evil, he calls it also the Psalm of the Sith. And he said it's like a misshapen clone of the Emperor's theme, and it's linked with Kylo Ren's theme as well. Hold on. I gotta go to another page. I was thinking, like, with the theme, with Kylo reaching out to Rey and asking her to join him to kill the Emperor, he takes off his helmet and he's reaching out to her. I was maybe thinking this theme was like suggesting that maybe Kylo had not so good intentions with Rey joining him and then them killing the Emperor. Is like, okay, what are your intentions? Are they good? Are we going to go towards the good side, or are we going to go towards like an evil side? So like, I feel like the Anthem of Evil is suggesting more towards that dark side.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. Yeah. I'm going to put it up on screen for people. Just a reminder. So Frank Lehman writes, a dark new theme for Palpatine's Final Order, literally Anthem of Evil on the soundtrack album. Designation as a psalm suggests an otherwise holy musical genre, twisted by melodic corruptions, never as prominent as other dark side motifs, but quite well developed in its own right. Kind of a misshapen clone of Emperor, also linked with Kylo Ren, Imperial March, and Tension. I think his calling it a psalm is really fitting. And the thing about Frank is he's an excellent writer. He's an excellent writer and writer about music. And I think calling it a psalm is very fitting given the other themes in Star Wars that have a purposely religious nature.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, so this is a dark version of that, and it's representative of, I don't know, like a different kind of religion. I don't know, cult, whatever you want to call the dark side. Yeah. Yeah.
It's interesting, like because like if you listen to like Snoke's theme or even the Emperor's theme, usually there's a low bass choir which like kind of helps with that religious tone to it, with that like a choir singing with it. And so this one I don't think I've ever heard. I don't think choirs ever sang with the Psalm of the Sith, but it's fitting for like the Final Order idea as well. Like we come completely from like different from like the Galactic Empire, which has that Imperial March to it, to this with the Final Order. It just kind of almost sounds, I feel like it sounds more sinister than,
for sure,
like the Imperial March.
I think so too. I mean, the Imperial March sounds more organized to me, like an organized effort. This one sounds more like cult leader.
Yeah.
Or something.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, like when you like further in the movie, when you get there and you see all the acolytes, you got Palpatine and all those acolytes. So yeah, it definitely gives like this cult like vibe.
Yeah, I think like under the Empire, there was at least the premise of something else. And then all of the Forcey stuff was kind of in the background. It was like, oh, but Vader, with his Forcey stuff, even though like Vader and the Emperor are, much more important in the Empire than everyone else. At least everyone else is operating under the premise of goals and organization and like stuff like that. Not everyone in the chain is privy to the forciness, to the religious aspect of its leaders.
Right. And then at one point, what's his name? Pierce? What's that one?
Pryde?
That one guy. Pryde, yeah. Because he said, as I served you before, I serve you again. Like again, it's like that. It's different. It's such a different vibe compared to before.
Yeah, totally. I'm going to actually read the key features from this theme. So listeners, if you want a rundown of all of the new themes in The Rise of Skywalker, go back to episode 1 of this season, in which I do like a full overview of the music to expect in The Rise of Skywalker, and I go through all of the themes. But here, I'll just repeat the key features. So it says a symmetrical period, and that just means like a part. A period is sort of like a section. I'll just say a section from a piece or from a theme that really insists on its sharpened fourth. And so if you see that symbol that looks like is a number 4 with like a sharp, but then there's like what's that called? A caret? I don't actually know what that symbol is called.
Something like that.
Yeah. So when you see that symbol, for those of you following along in the guide and who just look up music stuff in general, that means scale degree. So a fourth, it really insists on its sharpened fourth, like scale degree. So what that means is, if we're in C minor, which you can see on the first note, actually, yeah, you see right at the beginning under the treble clef, you see C minor. So he's kind of telling you the key there. So in C minor, the diatonic notes that you'd have would be C, D, E flat, F, G, and then a sharped fourth would go, instead of, it would go. So that's the Anthem of Evil. Yeah, and you may, for those who have listened for more than one episode, you may notice that the opening and closing music for this season is basically the Anthem of Evil. So it is very striking, I think. Yeah.
Especially like that four chord, like it really just kind of it brings attention to it because you're like, what's that? You know?
Totally, because it gives us this this augmented interval. So normally, from the third E flat to the fourth F, it's a whole step. So a major second, but here you have an augmented second.
I like that sound.
Yeah.
I don't know. It sounds cool.
And then, yeah, so that's the first theme I hear too. I hear it like teased a little bit before it comes in. Like I'll just start at the beginning again.
We'll kill him together and take the throne.
I feel like
Violin.
it's
Oh my
teasing
God, I
it
love
there.
this.
So like, and then it's gonna go. But it's a little
Play that
telegraphing.
first part. Play that first one again.
Yeah.
You know what you need to do.
The same first three notes.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah.
To do. You know.
And it's the brass lead doing the low brass theme, and then it's like the strings kind of dee 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 dee, like doing some arpeggios in the background, and the timpani progressively comes in, so it kind of gets bigger. Kylo outstretches his hand and stuff. It's good stuff.
God, I love music. Ugh, I just love it. I just love it so much.
It's pretty good. I'm a fan. So let's just great. So let's just keep listening.
I do.
Falcon.
Hold it steady! Finn, move fast! Right. Come on! Come on! I got it!
And she's on the Falcon now.
God.
Yeah. pretty exciting little 20 seconds, 30 seconds.
Right. There's a lot going on, like, especially in the music, because when the Falcon first arrives, to me it sounds like the fanfare you hear from the March of the Resistance. And then going into now, okay, so here I'm unsure about this next part, because when I was looking at Dr. Lehman's guide, you have Poe's theme, and then you have this heroics theme that is like incredibly similar to Poe's theme. And I kept going back to this part. There was another part also that I was like, what is this? I kept going back, and I want to say it's Poe's theme, but at the same time I also want to say it's that heroic theme as well before it goes into the main theme. Does that make sense?
It totally makes sense. Poe's theme is very similar to the heroics theme.
It drives me crazy.
Yeah, let me put up screenshots from the catalog. But do you want to just listen to that again, and you can point out the part, the fan, like just talk through it, like the when you notice the fanfare that sounds like March of the Resistance, point it out, and then the Poe/heroics themes, you can point that out too. Okay.
Right there. It was like right at like that part. It's like the high, like the flute, piccolo, maybe violin. You just hear this like kind of a little bit of like a fanfare.
Oh, okay.
Right there.
Let me go back a little bit more then. I do.
Hold her steady!
Of course, main theme.
Move fast! Right. Come on!
So, I think when the heroic Poe theme starts, when you're watching the clip, it's when you get the shot of Chewie and Poe in the cockpit. So that's why I was like,
could be
Poe's
made.
theme, because Poe is here.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like he's swooping in, him, Chewie, and Finn are swooping in to save Rey, because then it goes into the main theme, which the main theme also doubles as a heroic theme as well. So it's like, okay, we got two back-to-back heroic things going on. But with the main theme coming in, which also acts as a heroic theme as well. So it's like, that's why I was like, okay, is it Poe's theme because you don't see Poe when the Poe's theme starts.
Right.
That's right. Okay, yeah, because I was right. You don't see you hear the theme first, and then you get the shot of Chewie and Poe in the cockpit. And my thinking, I was like, okay, is this a way of, first of all, introducing Resistance fighters? Second of all, introducing Poe is here, and then going into the main theme with him, Chewie, and Finn rescuing Rey. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Okay. So I actually heard the main theme as being like the Falcon, the Millennium Falcon.
Yes, that I could. Yes,
because I
think
earlier in this movie, I think Poe says something like, "There she is" or something, and we also hear the main theme. I can't remember.
Yes. So in this actually reminds me, in Solo. The movie Solo.
I was just going to bring up Solo.
The first time we see the Millennium Falcon,
theme.
you hear the main theme. And I think even, I can't remember if he actually talks about that in his notes in the catalog of like, because he talked about how the Rebel fanfare was a semantic migration from like Rebel fanfare to the Millennium Falcon in the prequels, or I mean the sequels, I mean. So it's like, but yes, that makes sense now that I'm thinking about it, thinking of Solo.
Totally. So actually, so I've done a whole season on Solo. So luckily I've already gotten to talk through every minute of Solo, and definitely like the way that the main theme is used there is like, at least since Solo came out before Rise of Skywalker. So when Solo came out, it was kind of, the main theme felt like it was reappropriated to something else. And I think in general, Star Wars has kind of been using the main, like expanding the purpose of the main theme. I've noticed it kind of used as like, oh, there we are, like for something that is a callback, a nostalgic callback.
Yes. Yeah, especially in the sequels. I feel like sequels are like big on nostalgia. Yeah.
Yeah,
The main theme is just it represents a lot. I just
totally.
like, but I think like also maybe one could argue that the main theme is like the heart of Star Wars itself, like the story itself. Like if you wanted to pick a theme that could represent maybe the heart of the story, it could be the main theme itself, or the Force theme, whichever you want. But but I could see that, yeah, representing the Millennium Falcon as well. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's sort of like what happens in real life with symbols, with symbols of people even. Like imagine, like I guess we see it with also in Solo the dice. And if the dice were like a physical just version of what something like a main theme is, like Han Solo's dice, okay, when we're watching the original trilogy, we don't necessarily understand that these dice are super important and representative of Han. But in Solo, when it becomes a thing, and then in The Last Jedi, Leia receives the dice,
Right.
it's like, was that ever important to Han? Like I've heard people kind of talk about this, like, was that ever? But the thing is, it doesn't matter, because if it's one last thing that you have from someone who's died, its significance, the object's significance will have expanded. Like it will be representative of that person. So even though the dice may not have meant the same thing in that person's lifetime, I think people change the meanings of objects and foist new, symbols and foist new meaning onto them all the time. So I think musically, this is just another manifestation of that same thing.
Change. Yeah. That makes sense.
Yeah.
I agree.
Okay, so let me actually put up, let's see, what's the best view of this? All right, so Poe's theme and Heroic's theme on the same page. And we'll actually just play both of them. So I'll start with Poe. I put them in the wrong order, sorry. Poe happens first chronologically. Okay. Okay. So that's Poe's theme. And then we have Heroics. And I'm trying to play it quickly so that it's still in your head. Here we go. Okay, so what do these have in common? Let's look at it.
A lot in common.
For sure. So Heroics and Poe starts. So first of all, they have the same movement. Like they have the same, like they both go up.
Contour.
Yep, the same contour. Yeah, so like if this one goes up, down, up, this one also goes up, down, up. Now to different degrees. Like this one goes, okay, Heroics goes up by a perfect fourth, plus perfect fourth, and then it goes minus. I'm not writing. Okay, perfect fourth minus minor second. Plus minor third. And then Poe's goes up a major second, down a major third, up a major sixth. So actually, when you do the actual intervals are quite different. Like the first one has a big leap up, small leap down, somewhat medium leap up. Poe's theme has a small step up And then a big leap is like the third to the fourth note is a really big leap. Also, let's see. Harmonically, I feel like heroics has much more in common with, do I want to say rebel fanfare? Yeah, I want to say, yeah.
Rebel and main.
Yeah, okay. But now let's listen to what it is in these minutes so that we can, I don't know, assess which one we think it is.
Poe. It's Poe.
Yeah, I think it's
Well,
Poe.
it's-
Well,
yeah,
it's also, here's the thing, it also might not be anything.
Damn.
It's just, so far, that would be more like Poe. Right?
And then
up
it's-
up a major second, down a major third, but then it goes up a perfect fourth. So like it dives into it and quickly out of it.
Hold her steady!
It's like a portmanteau theme, basically. It's going straight into the main theme.
Right.
And so it's those moments are always so interesting to me because they could be. Is it Poe's theme? It could be, but also it's not specific enough that
Right.
that it's for sure. You know, like in medicine, there's like specificity
Gray-
and sensitivity.
gray.
Yeah, so like if we hear these notes, like which are these three notes could be anything. They could be anything. It's not. It's like it's the equivalent of having a headache, not being able to exactly diagnose what disease that points to, because that could point to many things.
Right.
Yeah. So it's gonna this is gonna come up later in these minutes. So we'll have more. We'll be able to talk about that again.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So let's just continue for now.
Finn, move fast!
Right.
Come on!
Come on! I got it.
So Rey runs and leaps across to the Falcon.
It was a coordinated.
Ah, that's very good. Yeah, thoughts?
I feel like I'm missing a theme in there because I heard Rey's theme just as she's jumping onto the Millennium Falcon, but I feel like there's something else in there. I don't know. Like this part was bugging me yesterday when I was going through this. I was like, I feel like I'm missing something here. I don't know, but I do hear Rey's theme.
Yeah.
And it's that main phrase of her theme.
Yeah, exactly. And I think what's cool about it is how it matches, or it seems to represent the action on screen. Like we hear Rey's theme in many different forms, but in this case, she's having to do like a run and then like a big leap to get onto the gangplank of the Falcon. And when we hear her theme, it's I'll replay it. Oops.
Come on!
So first of all, that part, the ramp up of it, like the strings are like kind of ramping up. It like she's kind of getting ready to
Getting
run.
ready, right.
Yeah. Here.
Come on! I got it.
And we have this great octave leap, which I've transcribed, which
Oh, I love that.
it goes like all the way where it's like, and then it jumps all the way. Instead of the normal, here I'll play it on piano so I can talk better. Instead of just or, which is how we usually hear it, all within
Right.
the same octave. We have like
Just make a big jump.
the momentum like matches her momentum as she has to do this athletic feat.
There was, with the variations of like Rey's theme and like hearing like how different it is, there's a video on YouTube with John Williams talking about like scoring for The Rise of Skywalker, and he talks about how when you first hear Rey's theme, it's childlike, you know, like this innocent childlike theme, right? But then you get in The Rise of Skywalker and it has a much more mature sound to it. And with like hearing this theme in particular, like at this particular part, is because she's making like a really big decision as well that can like alter her destiny, fate, whatever. So making that huge leap physically and spiritually, mentally, whatever, something like that.
I
see maturity to it.
Yeah. I see the musical moment here as being helpful to the viewer to understand the action beats, to understand what's happening, because things happen. Like, okay, imagine watching this movie without any score. You would have to be trying to ascertain the meaning of everything that's happening on screen, and it might not always be apparent if one character's move is like a move in the light direction or in the dark direction or what they're thinking. And so I think this feels like reminding the audience, like at least showing the audience, Rey is true to form here. Like she just rejected Kylo, and she's still the Rey that we count on. And it's just a very brief like reinforcement of that, because there's so much hullabaloo happening right now. There's like, I don't know. There's lots of actors on screen. The set is pretty big. There's like ship noise. It's kind of overstimulating. So like the music is like an anchor. It's like reminding you like, all right, Rey's doing a thing. In case you've been spacing out, Rey's doing a thing, and it's a thing in the good guy bucket of things to do.
And by the way, there's Rey.
Yeah.
Right here. Rey's right here.
Yeah. Like cheer for her right
And
now.
especially, right, yeah. And I actually have thoughts with the next one.
Mm-hmm.
So
we can continue.
I have thoughts on the next one. I have thoughts about that on the next one.
Cool. I'm just going to continue playing.
It was a coordinated incursion, Allegiant General. They overpowered the guards and forced me to take them to their ship.
I see. Get me the Supreme Leader.
Yes, sir.
Bad move,
Tell me
Hux.
to find our spy.
Love that hyperspace
Love how he just shoots
sound.
Oh my gosh, yes.
It's very good.
Going through
Yeah.
hyperspace. I love
And
it.
Hux did not have a chance. He didn't stand a chance.
I know.
Like, he thought he was being so sly with his like move, but no, he actually gave it away, and yeah, too much. Last episode, Pep was saying that he wish he could rewrite that dialogue, and was saying that Hux shouldn't say the whole thing that he said. He could just simply let them go, and then we would know that he was the spy. Or he could simply say, like, I don't know, he could basically shorten his lines so much more instead of spelling it out and then having them go, oh, you're the spy, like this whole thing. So like now I'm thinking if Hux had been a little bit more, I don't know, covert about it, like maybe Pryde wouldn't have had to kill him.
Shot him in the chest. Yeah.
Yeah.
God.
Yeah.
Very sudden.
Yeah. All right.
I don't know why they're not following us, but I don't trust it. Landing gear's busted. How busted?
Love seeing them all together.
This is the Wayfinder. Finding Exegol.
That's what we're doing.
He killed my mother
That's
and my father. Going to find Palpatine and destroy him.
Rey, that doesn't sound like you. Rey, I know you.
People keep telling me they know me.
I really like that line.
I'm afraid no one does.
The Jedi.
Yeah, such a little scene.
This is an interesting scene.
It
Like,
is.
because, talking about how you were saying with hearing Rey's theme as she's jumping on the Millennium Falcon, it's like, here's Rey, the good, joining the good side. But then we come into here when she has learned all of this information that Emperor Palpatine is her grandfather and he had her parents killed. And so now we're seeing like this darker side of Rey because she wants to take her revenge. And you're hearing the Emperor's theme, which I feel like, to me personally, I feel like not only is because she's talking about Palpatine, but I feel like this could represent like that darker side of Rey, the Palpatine side of Rey, because she wants to take her revenge on Palpatine for killing her, having her parents killed.
Totally.
And so you got that switch.
Yeah, I think so too. What I think is really interesting about the instance of Palpatine's theme here, and I'll just go back to it. The first thing we hear is just
You killed my mother
a low single note.
and my father.
So first we just hear that pedal tone, actually. Just, it could be anything. You could put it's just one note at first. Anything could go on top of that. It doesn't have to suggest anything in particular. But then, sure enough, it is Palpatine's theme. What I think is interesting about Palpatine's theme here is it sounds demure. It is in a higher register than usual because, like you were saying,
yeah.
we usually hear it like low and everything, and it's overtly evil. This is more like Rey is flirting with ideas, or she is thinking dark stuff, but it's not like very full blown. It's like more like a seed. It's more of a Rey version of this. And that directly contrasting with the big instance of Rey's theme that we were just hearing. It's like her actions are still unambiguously heroic, light side. But her mind does have this little worm in it at the moment, but it's still not as big as her actions. And I think the relative like importance of those themes, I think it's still clear that like her actions are still good, but maybe she has some conflicted thoughts in her mind, but still they're not outweighing the other thing. Like imagine if it had been like, I don't know, a small Rey's theme, but then here it's like full Emperor's theme. That would feel a little bit not attuned to the situation, I think.
Yes, that would make sense.
Yeah.
I see what you're saying with that. Yeah, no, I get that. And then like going on, what I thought was really interesting was Kylo Ren's theme as she's talking about how nobody knows her. Like,
Kylo's like another worm in her brain right now.
Right, and he claims that because he did at one point tell her that like he knows her, like he feels that he knows her the best, like he understands her the best. I mean, they're in each other's minds, with the whole dyad thing. And so it's like there's like some connection with them, and just having Kylo Ren's theme play there, it just makes me think of like that dyad that they have, that connection that they have, and you have like a Skywalker and a Palpatine working together again. But
yeah,
that one was a little bit interesting for me.
I feel like, yeah, because Rey also is like, Kylo also doesn't understand me, but when Rey is talking to Finn, it's clear that Finn doesn't understand a part of her that Kylo Ren does understand. But Kylo Ren, like, Finn isn't willing to see the seeds of darkness in Rey. And Kylo Ren does see the seeds of darkness. The problem is Kylo Ren is also blowing it up to be like a much bigger thing than it needs to be. So neither, they're both kind of polarizing. Right. Neither of them understand her but in different ways. But I think she needs to feel a little bit seen. And unfortunately, Kylo does see a side of her that no one else does yet, which is a little unnerving.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, when did he tell her? Was it in this movie where he's telling her, you need to let go? Or
I think it was last movie
that he was told her. Yeah, so
let go of the past.
Right. Right, exactly. And so, yeah, I think Kylo knows her in a way that she wants to be known, but at the same time, not. You know what I mean?
Yeah. She wants to be known, but for someone to not catastrophize the situation. I don't know. Like, she wants to be seen, but not pushed into a direction, I think.
Right. And Kylo is a big pusher.
Oh, yeah.
He's a menace.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Okay. I'm going to keep. Oh, also, I'll note that, like, I think I'll put a shot on screen. When Kylo and Finn are working on the Falcon together, this is a shot of like their hands really close to each other working on stuff. I think it's like a good business for them to be doing, like as in like the business of like acting, the stuff that you're doing on screen and stuff, because you see that closeness, but then they're also kind of far apart in this moment.
That's a really good visual representation. Oh my gosh. I would have never caught that.
Okay, I'll keep playing.
Going to find Palpatine
So demure.
and destroy him.
It's like, what, oboe?
Ray,
Yeah, it's like,
that doesn't
I
sound
think it's
like you.
oboe, solo, or English horn.
Ray, I know you.
Or English, oh yeah.
Keep telling me they know me. I'm afraid no one does.
Muted brass. Solo, muted brass.
Anthem of Evil.
Kylo Ren.
The Jedi apprentice still lives.
Oh, you're right. Kylo Ren.
Yeah. You said that already. And then we have a J cut to the next scene, so the audio starts before we see the visual. But this is obviously
Perhaps you have betrayed
Emperor.
me. Do not make me turn my fleet against you.
I know where she's going. She'll never be a Jedi.
Make sure of it. Kill her.
So the Jedi apprentice still lives in that. While Palpatine is saying that, here I'll put the screen grab back. You can really see the repaired helmet in that moment, like Kylo Ren's kind of kintsugi.
No, yeah, I was like trying to think of the word. I was like, there's a specific word for that.
Yeah.
Where he's like putting the helmet back together with the red.
Yep.
That's a really interesting visual. Yeah, I can see that. Was below base while Palpatine was talking.
Mm-hmm.
Was his theme playing there, or was it just like a?
I don't think
it's just like a drone kind of thing.
I don't think it was playing, but we could re-listen for sure.
Perhaps you have betrayed me. Do not make me turn my fleet against you.
I know where she's going. She'll never be a Jedi.
Make sure of it. Kill her.
I'm hearing mostly like,
maybe.
I don't know. Like some underscore. I don't know.
Right.
It's the thing is, it's
in
like
the low, but I can't tell.
yeah, no. I heard
with the
that before
dialogue.
too. But the thing is, that part is not on the soundtrack, so I couldn't get a clear listen to it. But I think even if it were the Palpatine's theme there, it's mixed so low that it's
Right. It almost just sounds like a drone.
yeah, it's
Just
just
like that low, just chilling in there
yeah.
underneath the dialogue. But
Yeah.
okay. That's all right.
Okay. So now we're landing on Kef Bir, finally. See Jana. So,
What is that?
It's the Death Star. It's
Yep.
a bad place.
so that was all, no dialogue. So it's hard to find an anchor, but basically what's happening is our heroes are arriving on Kef Bir, and Jana is kind of keeping a lookout of who is arriving. She has her binoculars or whatever they are. I don't know. Maybe they're quadnoculars. I'm not sure. And our heroes are walking over a hill. Okay, let me put something on. I'll put a screen grab on here. We see them, coming over this hill, and then we see them looking at this like kind of horrifying wreckage. And of course, we know that it's the second Death Star wreckage. But yeah, that's when the music is sort of like coming to a climax. Is when we're looking out at that.
With those that high brass, the trumpets coming in with that. Can you go back and play? It was, maybe, I guess, like where as they're flying in, like when, with Jana. Can you go back and play that for me, please?
Yeah, I think that would be about 2:45.
There's like this contrasting. Do you hear that? Like the bass and the
violins.
higher. They got that like this contrasting rhythm going on.
Yeah, actually, I'm going to play from the beginning of For Your Consideration, track 11, The Old Death Star, which, yeah. You could also hear this, I think, at the beginning of just the soundtrack, The Old Death Star. So you can hear it without dialogue. We have two seemingly independent sounding lines.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
and like they kind of reverse a bit at the end, or like then like the bass is moving more quicker as opposed to the strings like they were before. Yeah, it's like this really weird opposing lines going on.
Yeah, and it's unsettling.
Yes.
Let's hear that again. So first it starts with a drone. Will it play? Basically, when one of them is holding, the other one is moving. And then...
And then that build up.
So good. It's so Star Wars.
It's very Star Wars.
And we have... We're going up the circle of fifths in that chord progression. So going from F sharp minor, and then we just do another F sharp minor in a different inversion, and then we go to C sharp minor, so that's 5 away, and then we go to G sharp minor. Yeah, so the circle of fifths is just like one way of organizing sequences of pitches. I don't think like the circle of fifths gets a lot of I don't know, attention when learning about music. But I would say
very
it's
familiar
like
with that.
yeah, so if you look at the 12 o'clock spot, you see C, and then you go to the 1 o'clock spot, it's G, so D, A, E, B, F sharp, which is the same thing as G flat. So D flat, A flat, E flat, B flat, F. And you can make your way right around to your starting point. And yeah, musical letter names don't go past G. So C to G would just be C, D, E, F, G, and then G to D would be G, A, B, C, D. Yeah. Anyway, but I also think charts like this are actually really complicated to look at. And I have personally never really found a way to make the circle of fifths like a super accessible resource for my mind. It's just something like I'll know it if I'm feeling it. Like I can spot it, but looking at the chart for some reason just like usually confuses me.
Music theory has always confused me in general, so it was my worst class in college. But no, I totally get it.
But yeah, anyway, it's a way to smoothly modulate
Transpose, right?
really
You can use it to,
quickly.
like transpose, right? If you want to like use the circle of fifths with transposing, right? You
Or
can
to
use it-
modulate, you mean?
Yeah, modulate. Yeah, modulate.
Yeah. Because I guess I shouldn't have I should have talked up the circle of fifths a little bit more. Like the organization of it isn't completely arbitrary. The thing with, if you notice also on the outer layer of this diagram, you'll see a little staff with sharps or flats. And so basically as you go through the circle of fifths, you add one more sharp or one more, or remove one more flat, and it goes sequentially. So and what's helpful about that is that you're not adding too many new notes to the diatonic scale. So the diatonic scale of a key would be the notes that are present in that key at baseline. So like C would be C major. No sharps or flats. If you go up the circle of fifths to G major, you have all the same notes except now you have one sharp. So going from C to G it's different, but it's not so much of a leap as if you were going from C. I should keep that chart up, goodness. As if you're going from C to F sharp or G flat. Right? This is all different notes.
Yep.
Like so many different notes. So it is like provides a smooth pathway to modulate without too much of a jolt in between. But you can, in many instances, you can utilize like jarring progressions to affect if you want to make something sound, I don't know, a particular way. Like the Imperial March does that.
The Battle of the Heroes does that too. It does a jump in the key.
Yeah.
And then I'm trying to think where.
And Duel of the
Because
Fates.
then it's like almost like I remember what part is that at? Because it's trumpet that comes in, and it's like I'm pretty sure it's a different key. Like it's a jump.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
I don't know what keys are, but
yeah. So actually, okay, I'm going to go to the associative. Okay, so for those who have Frank's catalog out, go to the associative progressions page, which is toward the end of the catalog. And you'll see kind of a list of chord progressions that are common in Star Wars and like what themes kind of fit within those chord progressions. And if you look at the one...
G minor. To
if you look at, if we zoom in on this one, I'm going to put it up on screen. It is in the associations. It says mystery, evil, wonder, the alien. The chord progression is like G minor to C sharp minor. So that's what I mean with like, yes, in Battle of the Heroes, there is like a sudden modulation, I guess. And same within Duel of the Fates, and it like escalates what's happening. In the Imperial March itself, like just in the chords themselves, like there is that really lack of like,
okay.
Yeah, because it would.
I see what you're saying.
Yeah. Like it would be more related if it went just from G minor to C minor. Like but he goes. And there's so few notes that are shared in that.
I hear that. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I get that now.
Yeah, it's good stuff.
People who pick this stuff out, oh my God, how you guys figure this out? It's just so incredibly impressive.
I know.
I love it. I just love it so much.
Okay, so I will go back to what we were listening to in the minutes now. Now we're seeing the Death Star.
What is that?
It's the Death Star. It's a bad place from an old war.
It's gonna take us years to find what we're looking for.
Oh, dear.
Only this blade tells.
To quote 3PO. Oh, there are so many subtle things happening. That's a really cool bit of score, I think.
There's a lot going on, yeah.
Yeah. I'll play back from the soundtrack so we can hear it without the dialogue and we can hear the music a little bit louder. Actually, okay, so skipping forward. Okay, that is the twisted bass line.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can you play that again? Can you play that just the part again?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, you put it out. I love that. I'm just sitting here like singing it in my head. I love this.
I think, yeah, so we have, it's in a really, it's just, everything is within this range. And it kind of is going up mostly stepwise. We have an augmented second here. And this kind of going from the 7th scale degree back to the 1st is what like tipped my ears off to this, which you may recognize that from Attack of the Clones. I'll play where in Attack of the Clones this occurs. Here we go.
Yes, we
Don't
have
listen to
beautiful
that.
beaches.
Sorry, that's a YouTube ad. That's extremely annoying. Wow, that's like such a major buzzkill. Okay, here we go.
Building your online
No, why 2 ads? This is a minute-long one. That's horrible. Okay, I'm just gonna refresh. Okay. Oh my gosh. Here we go. See, it's faster. But it has that
Oh!
and it's in the Across the Stars track.
Oh!
Yeah.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Oh my God, I would have never. Oh wow, that's really
Good stuff.
interesting. And that's the darker part of the Cross the Stars theme too.
Mm-hmm.
The more darker side of that theme. Oh.
Yeah. Frank describes it as sinister bass figure that plays prominent role in developmental middle section across the Stars concert arrangement, but appears only in underscore. Very similar figure forms basis of the old Death Star from TROS, second section of Some of the Sith.
Wait. Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah. And are they thematically related? I don't know. I'm sure you can draw a connection between any two themes, like, and if you want, but also it could just be something that tonally feels appropriate. I don't know. You could lore your way through it, and I think that would be completely fine. But yeah, it's there.
It's there. Yeah. It's like, it's the thing about like with music is that sometimes it's just there. I mean, music is written with intention, but sometimes it's just there to add to the tension or whatever. It doesn't really have to like mean anything particular, but it just kind of adds to like that, whatever vibe the scene has. So.
Yeah. It's like, sometimes the music can represent like an emotional truth, but not necessarily be actually like a paint by numbers, like actually this matches this exactly, type of thing.
Yes.
Okay, let's continue listening from the soundtrack. Wait, I was also hearing some of the Sith hinted at. Oh, of course. Okay, wait.
It's just sinister bass line.
Yeah. And this is when Rey is like pulling out the blade. Yeah. So I guess
right.
Yeah, so let's go back to the film now. Oops. Okay. I love how the sound design of like the blade, it fits so nicely with the music, I feel.
I like that sometimes like the people who do the sound mixing, that they will sometimes try to match the pitch of the sound to the music, because somebody had pointed out in Rogue One.
Yeah, you're talking about the Charles Cornell video?
When he turns on his lightsaber. Like it's not what did he say? It changed the chord right there as Vader's lightsaber turns on. Like that, the sound from the lightsaber changed the chord that plays, that da right there when Vader shows up. But the lightsaber changes it.
Right.
I was like, that's really cool.
Yeah. If people want to watch that video, it's this video. The title is quite hyperbolic. I'll put a link in the show notes, though.
Yeah, but no, that's I think that's so cool that they will do that. Try to like match, or in that case, change it up. But it worked,
Let's hear that again. The shing of the blade like kicks off the next bit of music.
Right.
Yeah, and it's very like, it's timed so well that like, it feels like they feel inevitably connected to me. Like when I'm thinking about the scene, I can't think about the music without hearing the shing.
Yes.
Only this blade tells.
And even the pitch of it
It's such a
fits in
good
the chord.
lead-in.
Yeah. And what we're hearing is, well, first, here, I'll put it on screen. The harp is just doing just an ostinato, repeated. Wow. Sorry. And then the oboe. That is Palpatine's scheming, I believe. I'll play where Palpatine's scheming. first shows up in Return of the Jedi.
Oh.
Number 36. Yeah, so it's that. It's we have that like triplet figure that is like eighth note, 16th rest, 16th note triplet. So we hear that in the Emperor's throne room in Return of the Jedi.
Oh.
Yeah.
These little pieces. Oh my goodness.
It also reminds me of the tremulous double neighbor. Oh, actually, he says that. Repeated note motif quite similar to later tremulous double neighbor figure heard in underscore, which is from Attack of the Clones, which I know intimately well because of the live reading that we did last month, the Great Camino Caper. We did a live stage reading of Attack of the Clones, and I did the music for it. And there was lots of tremulous double neighbor in there, and that is the think Camino, think dart. It's like another dotted sort of triplet figure.
Gotcha.
So these are just very similar ideas, whether or not, because it's popped up like so many times in different movies, not necessarily in related contexts, maybe John Williams isn't even thinking, I'm going to use a thing that I used in the previous, like this might just be part of the natural, it just might be one of the phrases, one of the words that he uses a lot, like we all do when we speak. Yeah.
That is, like, why do you bring that up? Because I was watching one of Dr. Lenin's lectures on thematic transformations. And when he was talking about how like Anakin's theme, like there's no, you go from young Anakin's theme to Darth Vader's theme, like there was like no like really like development. And he said either John Williams forgot or he just did not care.
Right, totally.
Like, he just probably, like, he's just like, whatever, here you go. We'll put that, like I said, music is usually composed with intention, but I don't know why that made me think of that. Like, he just didn't care.
That's really funny. Yeah, it's funny. We were talking about that video several episodes ago with Dominic Sewell. I'll put a link in the show notes again. But it's a talk on his YouTube channel called Thematic Transformation and the Limits of Leitmotivic Analysis. If you're interested in checking that out. But John Williams forgets a lot. He does so many movies. Like,
I know.
Man forgets.
Remember.
Yeah. Yeah.
How can you remember all of that? Especially like something like that small. You know. It's not as prominent, but yeah.
Though it is funny, the speculation sometimes where, I mean, in most cases, it's like, this is above the composer's pay grade.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah. Okay. I will continue. Yes.
The wayfinder's there.
You can hear it in the music when the blade lines up. That's what she's doing. She's holding the blade up to match the contour of it to the Death Star. Sure enough, it's a match. And
Wild.
They really draw this out. Like, they first show her looking at the blade. Well, just looking, okay. They first show her just looking at the blade, and then she pulls this like thing out of it that it looks like, I don't know, it looks like a protractor. It looks like it's going to be used for some math. And then she like holds it up, and then we like the shots, we see it like from one side, and then we see the shot, like the camera's on the other side. Like, they really prolong that blade lifting up. And the music is, of course, aiding and abetting in this. And then we have, yeah, totally. And then we have it like out of focus. And then we have it like in focus.
The climax of the Imperial March with the going into focus.
Yeah, and let me just play the part where the Imperial March starts to come in, and you'll hear the instruments start joining in, and
build.
Exactly, they coalesce at a certain point, and the part where they coalesce at the end is that part, of course.
Of course.
Yeah. Especially the trumpet start climbing.
The trumpet going up. I don't know why I like that. I love that part.
It's really good. I'll play it on the soundtrack now so we can hear it without pesky dialogue. No, I'm just kidding. Without the sound effects. Okay, this would coincide with 59 seconds into the For Your Consideration track. Okay, here we go. So we have a climb in low brass first, and then it's high brass. Oh, it's really good. Okay, let's.
Kind of.
Yep.
Because it's not a that rhythm. The rhythm is the rhythm in the bass is a little. It's I just lost my train of thought.
It's okay.
It's slower in the bass, but is it slower in the bass and then it picks up speed with the speed, but like you like you're going from like, I don't know, half notes to quarter notes or whatever. You know what I mean?
Which is called diminution, which is like when you augmentation would be like the normal the lengths of the notes would be stretched out to fit a longer space. So like it's like common in like thinking like a Mozart sonata, Clementi's, like I don't know, like a classical music or whatever, like where you'll have like a little theme, a little motif, a little period, and then you'll stretch it out. So like instead of eighth notes, it's like all quarter notes or something. It's stretched out over a longer time. I'm hearing a bit of that because the rising notes are first slow, and then the trumpet does them fast at the end.
Picks it up and comes in loud. I love it.
So if the melody is this, the bass is going, or something like that. It might be even slower. Let's hear it. Yeah. Anyway, it
just sounds cool. Moment. I love it.
Yep, it just sounds cool.
It's just like a great build up.
Agreed. Okay, we will continue now.
Heads up.
Great animal sound. Love it.
Rough landing.
I've seen worse.
I've seen better.
Just a solo English horn.
Resistance.
Or oboe.
Depends.
We picked up a transmission from someone named Babu Frick.
Babu Frick? Oh, he's one of my oldest friends.
He said you'd come. He said you were the last hope.
We have to get to that wreck. There's something inside there we need.
I can take you there by water.
You seen the water?
Not now. Too dangerous. We can go first light tomorrow.
We can't wait that long. We don't have...
So here we have our debate.
Oh, versus
for an hour.
I feel like that's more Poe's theme, but
you want it to be heroic,
like I'm reading
don't you?
Too much into it. I don't know, like because like I think that I get so when I was listening to it, like going between heroics and Poe's theme, I was like, am I just reading too much into this? You know what I mean?
Is it because you would like it to be heroic? Like, you think it would make more sense for it to be heroics?
Because, like, and, you know, like, reading, like, I'm looking here at the guide. Dr. Lehman also says, like, has at least, like, one big hero variant per film, though I don't know if that's, like, the big hero variant. But I wonder if, like, Poe's theme can also be... Cause, yeah, it's like if it could also play as a heroic theme, because like when it comes in, Rey is saying we have to get to that wreck. There's something inside there we need, and that's when it starts playing. And so I guess, like, to me, I'm like, why? Other than that, you know, we're trying to save the Resistance. You know, trying to get that Wayfinder to find Exegol to save the galaxy, kind of thing. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. I guess that's why I'm thinking, like, am I reading too much into this?
I think it being designated as Poe's theme might be, this might be one of those things like the Force theme or the main theme where maybe at first we saw it, maybe it was Poe's theme, but maybe it's also just Resistance
Now
heroics.
It's double, you know, it's got more to it now. It could, So that's why, because I was like, post it heroics thing. Like, what is this? And I mean, yeah, he says that it's how do you say that?
Okay, right.
I don't know how to say that.
No, it's okay.
Say that.
Okay, so I'm looking in the catalog and okay, so you're reading Poe's theme?
Heroics.
Oh, heroics theme. Okay.
Yeah.
So heroics theme is a good old an old-fashioned good guy theme, brassy and major, but restricted in the final film to just a couple renditions. 2 forms, broad and brisk, both based on the same interval pattern, intervallically and rhythmically related to a host of other themes, including Rebel fanfare, Poe, friendship, main theme, and some of the Sith, its chromatic twin. So the broad form would be, let me just... And then the brisk form would be, they fly now? Yeah.
That's similar to Rebel. That makes me think of Rebel fanfare.
What'd you say?
That makes me think of Rebel fanfare. Like,
oh, totally.
Is especially like that after the one you just played, like, it could totally go into, like, I think it does actually, this the A C sharp to A B to A to E flat. I don't know if like it could I feel like it totally could go into like the fanfare.
Yeah, no, totally. Agreed. And then Pose is a stalwart leitmotif for Poe Dameron, moderately frequent in all 3 sequel movies, melodically somewhat unassuming, but charged with stirring orchestrations and interesting variable harmonizations. Has at least 1 big hero variant per film, and in The Last Jedi and The Rise of Skywalker, more reflective, mature variants as well. I mean, I think this one is probably unambiguously Poe's, just because, let's see.
There we need.
I can... He said you'd come. He said you were the last hope.
We have to get to that wreck. There's something inside there we need.
I can take you there by water.
You seen the water?
Not now. Too dangerous.
Yeah.
We can go first.
Yeah, so that's G. G, A, F, D, C. So I'll just do the beginning. Which, okay, I'm drawing this out. So the first interval, like here, what am I doing? The first interval is a major second up. The second one is a minor third down. Sorry, major third down. I'm writing this very messily, and then it's plus up a major sixth. So it's the same, it's exactly the same intervals as Poe's theme proper. But it's not overtly like Poe specifically doing something. So it does it exactly fit? Like, no, not if we're accepting that this theme is Poe's theme. But this is only Frank's interpretation of what this theme is. It's actually a more nebulous thing in John Williams' mind, probably. Maybe John Williams internally calls it something else. I don't know.
Yeah, no, exactly. I wish I could pick his brain.
I know.
Pick both of their brains. I want to pick both of their brains.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. So, yeah, I guess Poe's getting the win for this one.
It's just, like you said, like this is one interpretation of it, and so which could be completely different from what John Williams was thinking when he added that, like, and so again, that's why I thought maybe I'm just reading too much into this. So
it's okay to read into it though. It's fine. And I'm going to play this from the soundtrack now, so you can hear the cool orchestration of it. Okay. Violas. I like the violas are.
Yep.
And I think using the violas instead of the violins there is a good choice. The violas fit into it more. Because the melody is on a relatively like lower instrument, whereas using the violins in something like that could also be really fitting, but the violin line would sit so above, like melodic, like note wise, it would sit above, and so it would kind of float above the melody, and that's like a great texture that's used many times. But here the violas kind of they fold into it, if that makes sense.
Yes.
Because of the range. Yeah, okay. So now I'll go back to the film because we just got another theme.
Yeah.
Wait that long. We don't have the time we need.
I can take you there by water.
Seen the water?
Not now. Too dangerous. We can go first light tomorrow.
We can't wait that long. We don't have the time.
Or the choice. Let's get that ship fixed. Do you have any spare parts?
Some. I'm Jana.
And Poe.
Yeah. So.
March of the Resistance.
Yep. And this is the end of the minutes. So we do hear March of the Resistance there. Slow. In D minor, the tempo picks up, but then it slows down again. And it is Poe kind of Poe is the one mainly, I feel, maybe making the decisions here.
Right.
Or thinking that he is. Not that Rey's going to listen, but like. So now it makes me think if the other theme is intentionally Poe's theme, maybe it is. Maybe if the audience recognized Poe's theme more than I think most people do, maybe that would have given us some idea of like, let's pay attention to Poe here. Because sometimes a theme can do that. But I would say that probably it's not well known enough for that to have worked here, if that were the intention.
Yeah, but I could see it like, if this is like, all right, you need we're putting the focus on Poe right now because he's kind of, because, like The Last Jedi, when he tried to lead his little coup, didn't work, right? And he was just kind of like this, I don't know how to describe him Last Jedi. It was kind of different. But
yeah,
in The Rise of Skywalker, he seems to be taking like that leadership role more seriously compared to The Last Jedi. So yeah, it's like maybe like here, let's pay attention to Poe as he's taking charge to help the Resistance. Does that make sense?
It does. And actually I can read into this scene in that way because Jana's the first person to speak, or I think she's like rough landing, and Poe's the first one to answer. So Poe is really acting as like their representative. Like, sure, Finn gets in a line, like Rey gets in a line, but it goes like rough landing. Poe's like, I've seen worse. Janna's like, I've seen better. Are you resistance? And Poe is like, that depends. So Poe is making the decision of like whether we trust this, whether we reveal who we are or not. We picked up a transmission from someone named Babu Frick, says Janna. And then he said you'd come. He said you were the last hope. And then Rey goes, we have to go to get to that wreck. There's something inside that we need. Janna's like, I can take you there by water. And yeah, this is when Poe is like, he doesn't have to be the only one to answer now. Now he's kind of ceding some of that responsibility to everyone. But he is proactively like, let's get that ship fixed. Do you have spare parts?
Yeah.
And then she's
exactly.
like, I'm Janna. And he's like, I'm Poe. Like, he's the one that introduces himself. So like, he really is the main person in this conversation with Janna.
Right. He's making that decision. He's like, Rey's like, we don't have time. Yeah, well, we don't have a choice. So, let's go fix the ship. Yeah. So that makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, I'm predisposed to listen to Rey and want to do what Rey wants to do. But in this situation, actually Poe. It's actually Poe is the main person.
Is the he's that leadership skill is coming through, shining through.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think like in this movie, the heroes, like, I mean, same within the original trilogy, like less so in the prequel trilogy because it's so Jedi heavy. But here we really do see like the ensemble, the cast of friends, where not all of them are Jedi. Like, they have different things that they bring to the team,
right?
Different ways that they lead and stuff.
Yeah, sequels are just like a huge, big nostalgia thing of the original. But yeah,
totally.
I see that.
Yeah,
like even the music is a huge nostalgia of the original trilogy.
Yeah, do you want to say more about that?
Okay, so there was like a couple of instances. Well, okay, the Rise of Skywalker, since we're talking about the Rise of Skywalker, with Luke raising the X-Wing out of the water, call back to Empire Strikes Back with Yoda raising the X-Wing out of the water. Who had said this? I read this somewhere that like with that representation, because I know that J.J. Abrams wanted that. He was the one who had suggested that in the first place. And somebody said, what if this is like not only a callback to the Empire Strikes Back, but Luke being able to do what he couldn't do when he was training, like a teaching moment for Rey as well, like how Yoda taught him, and now this is how he's teaching Rey, and how he's like his growth as well from that moment. But I feel like that's the only instance in the Rise of Skywalker musically that is a callback to the originals.
Well, we do have
Rebel fanfare. The Rebel fanfare, though. There's the Rebel fanfare. Forget about that.
And we do have like in the wreckage of the Death Star, we have the Imperial March.
Yeah, right. We just talked about those. What am I doing?
Yeah, but I mean, we also have like the artificial harmonics on the violins, like the kind of the creepy, wispy version of it from Return of the Jedi.
Yeah, I had heard somewhere that John Williams had also written something completely different from the sequels, and then made that change to be a little more nostalgic.
Like he wrote different music?
Yeah, from like somebody. There's this YouTuber. What's his name? Sideways. Sideways. I think he was the one who had said that John Williams had something different, but then changed. Something changed, and so now it was like more. I can't remember what it was, but went to that like more nostalgic. Like I feel like the prequels, or not the prequels, the sequels don't have a lot of new themes compared to like the original trilogy. But I don't know. I don't know where I'm going with this.
No, it's okay. Like sometimes it's a vibe. Yeah. So I know the Sideways video you're talking about. Again, listeners, I referenced this video in the first episode of this season. I think it's called like Why the Rise of Skywalker is Music is Misleading or something like that. I think it's that video. And I believe, I don't know exactly what I don't know if this is the exact same thing that you're referring to, but I think I remember him saying that there are parts of there are scenes where you when you listen to what John Williams originally wrote, it's maybe not what's in the film. Maybe in the film they actually inserted like the Force theme here, or they inserted like something. Oh, you know what it was? I think he was talking about the beginning of the movie. He was talking about the beginning of the movie, toward the beginning of the movie, when they're light speed skipping, and we get the same music as when Luke blows up the Death Star. Is that right? Is that what it is? I think that actually might be what it is. Yeah, okay. I think that is it. And all I can say is, like, yeah, it's infused with, sure, certainly the sequel films are infused with musical nostalgia, just as with non-musical nostalgia, just nostalgia.
Oh yeah, that's just nostalgia in general with the sequels. There's a lot of nostalgia in general with the sequels. I like the Last Jedi with the Battle of Crate. That music, there's music there from A New Hope, the TIE Fighter, when the Millennium Falcon is escaping. Is that the Battle of Crate? Yeah, in the Last Jedi.
I'm like thinking about it in my head. I'm like, before Luke comes out. Oh, yeah.
Think Peter Griffin from Blue Harvest.
Wait, what? What Blue Harvest?
You ever seen
Blue Harvest?
I've heard of Family Guy Blue Harvest.
No.
Peter Griffin, like that during that scene where like you have Han Solo and Luke on the cannons and they're firing at the TIE fighters and they're trying to get away from the Death Star. Well, Family Guy Blue Harvest, which is just like a retelling. Peter Griffin plays as like Han Solo, and instead of he's singing along like my favorite thing. Like I cannot watch that part of The New Hope without hearing Peter Griffin's voice in my head.
Oh, that's funny.
I love it.
Yeah. Well, indeed, listeners, if you want to hear more about the A New Hope Death Star blow-up music being used in The Rise of Skywalker, that is discussed in episode 3 of this season, and I'll put a link in the show notes to that, because that is a thing. That is a thing here. And do you have feelings about that? Not just about that specific one, but about a lot of old music being used in the sequels or in this film.
I kind of go back and forth with it because I'm a big nostalgia person, but I also like new things. Like, you know, when the prequels came out, I always felt that the Phantom Menace soundtrack was like a really good introduction to the prequels. Like you've got such intense themes coming in, like the Droid March, the Duel of the Fates. I just love the Phantom Menace soundtrack. It's just fun.
It's really
and
good.
I always thought it was like a really good introduction to the prequels. And I do wish, like with the sequels, there could have been something kind of similar to that. Like, okay, here is a whole new introduction to a new trilogy, and not rely so heavily on the nostalgia, but like just bring in something new, kind of play around with it. And like, no, don't get me wrong, there are great themes that came out of the sequels. Like I love Rey's theme, and so it's not that there aren't anything new in the sequels. I just wish there was more. If that makes sense.
That does make sense. And I think it also follows along. Like for me, I agree. Like the prequels, like the Phantom Menace, it gives us so much new stuff. It gives us new characters of music. Like it gives us something related, but so different from the original trilogy. And I think part of that, okay, I'm not just going to say like, this is just John Williams's, that just reflects John Williams's writing style in 1999 or whatever. But I think also there's something to be said for the setting, like literally the setting of the prequels and the Phantom Menace in particular being so different than the original trilogy. Like one of the main, some of the music that stands out to me the most is like all of the palace related stuff. Like all of like there's so much like that feels stately, and like Coruscant is a huge addition like to this world of Star Wars. Like all the politics, like kind of it gets more in the weeds of like life outside of just like the extremes of people that are in exile and like in the desert and fighting in space. Like just we get so much courtly music and stuff like that. And I think I feel like that is an area in which John Williams feels really inspired, because I mean John Williams loves to recall, he loves to incorporate like Edward Elgar and like Walton, and getting to like use the post-Edwardian British tinged music, which he did like in the Throne Room in A New Hope, and like
Pomp and Circumstance,
in various little in little bits, but like I feel like he really got to exercise that thing he likes to do so much in the Phantom Menace, and I feel like it was uniquely inspired. It felt uniquely inspired to me. And in the sequel trilogy, I don't feel like we get a whole new aspect of society or something. Like for him to, like, it's more like back to the state of things in the original trilogy, kind of.
He was definitely hindered, yeah. Like there was definitely a hindrance, like with the story. It just, so yeah, I guess it would go back to like, okay, maybe do a little bit something different with the story, get full with the music. But yeah, no, I see what you're saying.
Yeah, because if there was something really particular for him to be inspired by, maybe he would have done something completely new. Maybe not. Also, like I'm not saying this is an excuse. I'm just thinking like maybe the prequel, maybe the Phantom Menace was the anomaly because he was so inspired by, you know, the fact that there's queens and there's like election, like a whole, I don't know, a palace, like a Naboo,
right.
And yeah, here I don't know if any of the locations are particularly feel as new as something like Coruscant felt.
Yeah,
in the Phantom
like
Menace.
a Tatooine, you know.
Exactly.
Hosnian Prime is like Coruscant. Well, is it a whole city world? Anyways, yeah. I mean,
Doesn't last long,
makes sense.
regardless.
It doesn't last long, no. Which I'm so embarrassed to say that for 7 years I thought that was Coruscant that blew up. Hosnian Prime. I'm
That's
like,
funny.
oh, I'm embarrassed.
Yeah, they wouldn't let JJ do that.
Nope, they're like, that's a legacy planet. We're keeping it.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah, do you have anything else about these minutes that you didn't get, or about the film, the music and sound, or just the film in general that you didn't get to talk about? The floor is yours.
Floor is mine. Okay, my notes here. I took a lot of notes when I was.
Oh yeah, anything in your notes you didn't get to say?
Yeah, I'm just looking at my notes, like just what I had. I think like I pretty much stated what I wanted to say, like in my notes and stuff like that. But, The Rise of Skywalker is probably, I would say it's my favorite of the sequel trilogy movies. I'm not entirely sure why. While I'm also not entirely sure why Revenge of the Sith is my overall favorite soundtrack. I could not tell you why, but it is.
So is Rise of Skywalker your favorite of the sequel soundtracks or the movie?
Of the sequels, like of the, so if like
The
I were
films.
to pick between the three,
Yeah,
which
but
one
you
would be
mean
my
the
favorite? It would
movie,
be, like,
not just the soundtrack.
Just the soundtrack. I would
Okay,
think, like,
got it.
I think The Force Awakens would be my favorite of the three movies, but soundtrack wise, it's Rise of Skywalker, and
That's fascinating. I want to know more.
And maybe it's just like the whole nostalgia thing again, because there's so many, especially when you get to the end of the movie, when they're all celebrating Palpatine's dead again and the destruction of that fleet. You hear so many themes. Luke and Leia's theme, the Force theme, main theme, Yoda's theme. Like, it's just this conglomeration of different themes. And I remember like sitting there thinking, why? You know, like, but I don't know. And then like when you get to like the end, because like I like with Rey, when she's saying, you know, be with me, and she's calling on the other Jedi, that music leading into that with the Force theme. Yeah, the Force theme. Like from there on, I don't know why. There's something about the end of the soundtrack that I just really like.
I love the
I'm
end of the
not entirely
soundtrack
sure
too.
why. And I really like that they did with the end credits suite where they ended it with the main theme. Like as if you were just hearing them, like if you were watching the movie and you're hearing that, like they end it, like it's like such a good bookend to the Skywalker saga as a whole. The first thing you hear, the main theme. The last thing you hear, the main theme. Like it's just such a good bookend. And with all the third movies in each trilogy, you hear the main theme in them. But what makes Rise of Skywalker different is that it's like literally a copy of the main theme from A New Hope, like, or from like when you first hear it, as opposed to in Return of the Jedi and Revenge of the Sith. It's just a variation of it. It's not like the original form of it, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Okay. So it sounds like, and maybe this is okay. It sounds like you're both critiquing, you're criticizing or you have thoughts that are not all positive.
Thoughts.
You're critiquing the use of so many old themes and the kind of nostalgia and all that stuff. But in this film, but you also like that it is. You also like it.
I'm very conflicted.
Okay.
It's a very conflicted thing. Like, it's just like, because it's like, I want new stuff, but at the same time, I'm like, yes,
but
nostalgia,
it still works.
you know, like, like
yeah.
it's just a weird thing. I know I'm a very conflicted person. I feel like I
think it's a very honest answer, and I feel the same. Like I was like very moved when the Yoda's, you know, lifting the X-wing music came up in the Rise of Skywalker.
Oh yeah, like,
yeah,
it was
for
like,
sure, it worked on me. Yeah,
yeah, no, it's really, it's just like, just seeing Luke raise that Skywalker, raise that X-wing with that music. I don't know. It just was just like, yes, like, inspiring, and I don't know, it just worked. So, but yeah, no, I'm like very conflicted, but I really do like the Rise of Skywalker soundtrack. It's not my very, very favorite, but of the sequels, it is my favorite.
Yeah.
So.
It might be mine too, actually. Yeah.
It's not a bad, I mean, they're all like John Williams. The thing with John Williams music with Star Wars is that you couldn't ask me what my favorite theme is, because it would depend on my mood, honestly. But if I had to say, like, off the top of my head, like, okay, Cross the Stars, I just really like Cross the Stars. But his music is just, with Star Wars, it's just, I love all of these different themes that represent different characters or different ideas, whatever. And it just makes the story, I don't want to say fun, but it just like helps with adding to that story. And like his music is just, I grew up on classical music. Like my mom listened to classical music all the time. My grandfather had a huge classical music collection, and he even studied music. I think he had like a master's degree in musical composition or whatever, and he worked at the Library of Congress in the music department. But it just is like, the classical aspect of John Williams' music is just, I love it. It's such a inspiring thing for me, I guess you could say. Soundtracks in general, I just absolutely love. So,
do you feel that way about John Williams more so than with other film composers?
It depends. Like, I love Hans Zimmer, but Hans Zimmer and John Williams have different styles. And that's what I love, like, with also Star Wars in general, is that they're bringing in these different composers who are bringing in their different styles, and it makes it, what's the word I'm looking for? It's variety, but I'm thinking of a different word. I did this before. But it's just like, I have a lot of respect for film composers, like a ton of respect for them. And so I love that with Star Wars, you have not just one composer, you have so many coming in and bringing in their different styles. I would love to see Hans Zimmer come in and compose for Star Wars. I think that would be awesome.
You think it would be very different?
Oh, it'd be very
Yeah,
different. He has
I think so too.
such a different style from John Williams. But like for me, John Williams and Hans Zimmer like on the same plane.
But just different.
Just different. They have different styles. They bring in something different to the table. But I feel like I can't choose between the two. I can't say like one's my more favorite than the other. Like I love them both. But like all of these composers just bring in something different, and it's just really cool to be able to sit there and like go from a movie to a different movie with a different composer and just hear that change, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
But,
I mean, I think the variety in film scoring is a good thing.
yes, it'd get boring if it wasn't.
For sure.
You know, if there wasn't any variety. But yeah, no, in general, I have a lot of respect for film composers, and I love soundtracks. I've always loved soundtracks, but I have huge respect for them to be able to sit down and come up with music.
Yeah,
It's
me
just
too.
incredible. It's just incredible.
So I have before I do ask you the Star Wars Music Minute questionnaire, I'm just going to run through the musical themes from this set of minutes. And so in this set of minutes, we have Psalm of the Sith, A section. We have the main theme, A section. Rey's A theme, the main theme. Emperor, Kylo Ren, A. Twisted Bassline, Palpatine's Scheming, Imperial March theme, Poe's theme, and March of the Resistance, A section. In the soundtrack, you can find the music heard in these minutes. On the regular soundtrack, track 10, Join Me, track 4, The Old Death Star, it's out of order, or on the For Your Consideration soundtrack, if you have that, which is track 10, Join Me, and track 11, The Old Death Star, same titles. The tracks are different, though, the For Your Consideration and the OST versions, because the For Your Consideration reflects more of what's in the final edit of the film. So listening to the discrepancies can perhaps give us hints about maybe something that was cut or truncated or whatever, or added. And yeah, there are a few of those. For example, I'll say one of them in the OST of Join Me, there is no part where the main theme, when the Falcon is coming, is not there. That is only in the For Your Consideration soundtrack, indicating that perhaps that was thrown in there. Yeah, later.
That's really interesting.
Yeah. And anyway, are you ready for the Star Wars Music Minute questionnaire?
Yep.
Yay. Okay. This is the same 3 questions that I ask every guest. So you will now join the ranks of someone who has answers for these. In exactly 3 words, what does Star Wars sound like?
Okay. I think I did this right when I wrote this down. Epic, adventure, emotion.
Nice. Yeah, it certainly is.
I get pretty emotional with this music, so there's a lot of emotion to it, yeah.
Yeah, as do I. Question number 2, what is something related to Star Wars music or sound that you want to learn more about?
The recording sessions and the practice sessions, and how the composers prepare to write for scenes or whatever, but mainly like getting everybody together. Like, how do you pick an orchestra? Like, which orchestra who picks the orchestra, and what, and when do they get the music? Do they get the music and they practice, and then they come in and you do a practice session record, stuff like that. Like, so the whole recording process with the soundtrack and the film score.
Yeah, that is always something really interesting to me too. For sure. Listeners, if you are curious about the perspective of orchestral musicians, I have a playlist on this channel of the interviews that I've done with people who've played on the soundtracks. So,
I love that. I'm going to be looking into that. I'm going to look at those.
Sometimes they have little hints that they don't even realize are insightful, because maybe they're not all Star Wars nerds. So yeah, I remember the very first episode of the show with Erica Duke Kirkpatrick, a cellist. She said that when she got like the cue name on the music, said was called The Kiss or something, she says, but it ended with like a very sad D minor chord, and she remembers being like, but why is The Kiss so sad? And I was like, huh, that would have been wild to receive that if you like, yeah, to be in the orchestra, be able to see the cue names.
That is so interesting. Whoa.
Yeah. Anyway, question number 3 is, what is a score or soundtrack that you're fond of besides anything Star Wars?
So I love the Lord of the Rings soundtracks. How Do You Train Your Dragon? I haven't listened to the other How Do You Train Your Dragon, like the second and third one, but I love the first one.
Mm-hmm.
It's just so epic. And then anything by Hans Zimmer.
Great.
Just, yeah.
Do you have a favorite? When you say Lord of the Rings, you don't have to pick one. It's just Lord of the Rings comes up so often on the show, and then I ask, I usually ask like if they mean Lord of the Rings, all of the Lord of the Rings soundtracks, or if you specifically have like a specific movie to call out.
Trying to think like one that I've listened. Probably The Fellowship of the Ring. I think is the one like I've listened to the most because I love Concerning Hobbits. That is such a fun, comforting piece. There's just something about Concerning Hobbits that just like relaxes me. I don't know why. It's just a lovely piece. And with Arwen and Aragorn before the Council of Elrond, that moment right there, I love the music there with the vocalist, and it's just like a bitter sweet moment, you know, given that, you know, he's human, she's elf, she lives forever, he doesn't. But yeah, I would say probably Fellowship of the Ring would be my favorite of the 3.
Nice. And so you have Lord of the Rings, Fellowship of the Ring, Howard Shore. How to Train Your Dragon is John Powell. So did you like the Solo: A Star Wars Story soundtrack?
I did. And
okay, great.
I want to go back. I want to go back and watch Solo again. I'd seen something in Dr. Layman's Guide that was, what was it? It was something that was in Solo, and it was also in, it was the asteroid field. There was something about the asteroid field connected to Solo, and so I was like, okay, so I want to go back and watch, because it was when I listened to it, I didn't know what was going on in that part of the music because it's been a while since I've watched Solo, and somebody thinks that it was actually the Kessel Run when he was making the Kessel Run there at the end. So
totally.
But no, I really enjoyed the Solo soundtrack, and I really liked Han's theme.
Yeah.
For whatever reason, I don't know why, and I feel like this might be out of pocket, but Han's theme just kind of takes me back. It kind of reminds me a little bit of Indiana Jones.
Yeah, it certainly does.
Like I always think of the two together, and I don't know if that was done on purpose or it just, that's just how it plays. I don't know, but it just, for whatever reason, I think of the Indiana Jones theme along with Han's theme. There's just something about it that they're similar. I
mean, they're
guess.
both like swashbuckling types of themes.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah,
I'm really glad that John Williams got the chance to write a Han's theme.
Right, because
cool.
He never, and it's funny because like with Kenobi, I saw this interview with Natalie Holt where she said that when she said that John Williams called up Kathleen Kennedy and said, "I never got to write a theme for Benny. Can I write his theme?"
Right. Mm-hmm.
And I was like, Benny, because there was like arguments that the Force theme was Obi-Wan Kenobi's theme, just based on like when you hear it in the different parts of A New Hope. But I'm like, so did he originally mean that? Because after that interview, I was like, oh. So he didn't mean for the Force theme to be Obi-Wan Kenobi's theme? Or what?
Yeah, I mean, he did, but then he knew that it became something else. Yeah.
I mean, big change, yeah. So
yeah.
But I know.
But that happens also with Leia's theme and stuff like that. Like Leia's theme was,
I love it. It's the love theme between Luke and Leia, and they're like, oh my God, no, wait, they're siblings.
Right. Yeah. So
one of my favorite facts about Star Wars music is that.
Totally. And then Leia ended up having 3 themes, because there's one for her relationship with Han, and then there's one for her relationship with Luke. Yeah, that's funny. Leia has the most themes, I feel.
Yes, and then young Leia's theme.
Oh, right.
Yeah, young Leia
in The Rise of Skywalker.
Too, so. Yeah, so.
or sorry, in Kenobi, but then we also have a Leia training Rey theme in Rise of Skywalker. Yeah. Anyway,
You think
thanks.
that's John Williams' favorite character? Is Leia?
I feel like that's a good question. I mean, it might be one of his favorite characters. I feel like he tends to like the women in the films. Like he really likes Rey. Yeah.
He wrote her, he gave her like a gift. He gave Daisy Ridley a gift where it was like Rey's theme, like in a frame or something like that. Like, I was like, that's so cool.
That is so cool.
Yeah,
I want to see
really
that.
likes Daisy Ridley, but yeah, like, it was just like a frame of her theme, like written out or something like that. Like,
That's so cool. I do want to see that. So if anyone has a link to that, I want to see that, a photo of that. Yeah, I didn't know that. Marianne, where can people find you online?
So I do mostly on TikTok at Mari_Maui. So MARI_MAWI, Mari_Maui. That's where I talk about Star Wars music. And right now I'm trying to convince Star Wars to get a music panel at Star Wars Celebration 2027.
Yeah.
I don't know how far I'm going to get, but I'm trying really hard to have them do a music panel. I just want these composers to be able to talk about their music.
So would it be specifically, you would want a panel of Star Wars composers?
Yep. And Dr. Lehman could totally moderate it because he would ask the most insightful, amazing questions. And so
absolutely,
that's who I would want for a moderator is Dr. Lehman. And but just like bring in John Williams, the Kiners, John Powell, Michael Giacchino, Michael Abels, bring them bring as many in and just like get their thoughts on the music that they wrote. So, but yeah, that's my goal.
I think that would be very interesting. I would love to attend that.
Yeah, I would be front row and center for that. Like, that's my goal. If it happens, I'm front row and center. I want to see all this.
Well, thank you again for coming on this show. Glad we got to meet after Chaco and Pep recommended you. And yeah, may this not be the last time we speak.
Yes, that would be great.
So everyone follow Marianne. And you can follow Star Wars Music Minute on all the normal places. I'm also on TikTok, but I have not posted in ages because, man, opening that app stresses me out. It stresses me out.
It's stressful. It really is. It's stressing me out right now. So.
Oh no. Well, anyway, I'll be back next week to talk about The Rise of Skywalker minutes 71 through 75. May the Force be with you, and yeah, see you next week. Thank you, Marianne. Bye.
Thank you.